Hey guys, it's Miss Gebhardt, and we are going to be doing our foldable today on the physical and chemical properties and physical and chemical changes. So in class, you would have gotten a foldable that looks like this. So all you want to do is you want to fold the piece of paper in half like a hamburger. Okay, so I fold it in half like a hamburger. Okay, and then I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to take these ends, and I'm going to fold them into the center. Okay, so hold on a second. Let me fold mine in to illustrate my point. There's one. And the second. So we've got this foldable like this. Now you can go through and make these cuts right here if you want to. I don't have to have any cuts in there. But with the inside within here, we're going to go through and talk about each of these 4 sections. So just make sure you put your notes in here as you go through. All right, so let's start it off with a physical property. Okay, so physical property is going to be some kind of observable characteristic that do not change, that does not change, I should say does, sorry, that's a grammatical error, but it doesn't change the matter at all, okay? Let me see, let me put it as that. So it should be that, should be does, sorry. But this is the key thing, it doesn't change the matter. Okay, so an example of a physical property is something's color, its smell, its freezing or melting point, how dense it is, how malleable, how I'm able to bend it. That's physical. So you kind of want to think of in terms of physical as not something that's permanently changed. Okay. The second thing is a physical change. So physical changes are changes that do not, again, here's that not, that do not result in forming a new substance. So when I have a physical change, all I'm doing is changing possibly the state it's in. So let's say I had ice, a cube of ice here, and I put it down and I let it melt. It's still water. Okay, it's water in its solid form, and then when it melts, it's water in its liquid form, but it's still water. So I haven't permanently changed anything. I've just changed it from one state to another, making it physical. Okay, so examples: changing our shape, changing a form, breaking something apart, changing a state of matter. Even if I took this piece of paper and I ripped it, I haven't changed the paper. I've just ripped it into pieces. I can still tape all the pieces back together. I still have paper. I have not done anything permanent to it. Okay. So with that, now we have to talk about a chemical property. And a chemical property is an observable characteristic that does change the matter. I guess I should put a does right there. This does change the matter. This does have a permanence to it. Examples are things like flammability, so its ability to light on fire, how it reacts with air and water. So you have to think about things outside in your yard. Okay, let's say if you were younger, well, y'all probably have not the same as when I was a kid, but when I was a kid, we had swing sets that were made of metal. Okay, and those metal swing sets, when they sat outside for goodness knows how long, they would start to rust and they would start to corrode, and that's because it was the metal reacting with not only the air but the water. And think about the water's coming because it rained. Okay, so that is a permanent change. I have altered that metal. That's a chemical property. So chemical changes are changes that do result in forming a new substance. They will form something brand new. So anytime we see something bubbling or fizzing, we change color. We burn something. Like I said, rusting. Okay, these are all examples of chemical changes. So let's go back to my piece of paper. I'm not going to light it on fire, but if I were to light it on fire, now I've got a whole bunch of ashes. So I could walk into class and hand you the ashes and say, well, here's your paper, and you're going to look at me like I'm crazy. If I ripped this piece of paper up, it would still be recognizable as paper. So that's the difference between chemical and physical. Physical, I haven't permanently altered it. Think of it like I can rewind it. I can go back and go back to the way it was. Chemical, I can't. Okay? So when I change something's color, or I burn something, or I cause a bubbling or fizzing, I have permanently altered that substance to form something new. Okay? So Hopefully this clears up any confusion or question with chemical and physical changes and chemical and physical properties. Please make sure you go to the next video, which is going to discuss density, and make sure you complete your foldable as you go through that video. And if you have any questions, you got to ask me. So I will look forward to any questions that you have.